Hello, everybody. Welcome to the August session of Digital Analytics Wednesday. I'd like to welcome our audience from Singapore, from Malaysia, and from Indonesia. Thanks for joining us today. We have 3 great sessions for you today. Before we go into the topics for today, I'd like to thank the DOS team, the Digital Analytics Wednesday team. So for those that are joining us for the first time, Digital Analytics Wednesday is a volunteer-led group of digital enthusiasts. We've been running for several years now, the team has been fantastic in organizing all the sessions, and also today there is a whole group of people that have made this session possible. So thanks a lot to the team. Secondly, also thanks a lot to the speakers that join us today and make time outside of their busy schedules to be with us here today and share their knowledge with us. And lastly, I would like to thank the sponsors, Decision Science, Happy Marketer, and eClerks, who make these sessions possible. There will be a voucher again for the best question. So after each session, we have a Q&A session. Please submit your questions in the chat function on YouTube. We will then pass those questions to the speakers, and they will select the best question, and you can stand to win a $50 voucher. Also, make sure that you follow us on YouTube. We have the channel that we're using for the digital events since we have gone digital. So please follow us on YouTube, like the channel, so that you can stay up to date with the upcoming sessions. Now I'd like to hand over to my colleague from the DOS team, Shiyun, who will run you through the agenda for today's session.
Thanks, Eva, for the introduction. I would also like to give a shout out to the people that is running the show from the back end. So thank you very much, Jeremy, Hari, and Zach, who is actually managing the live streaming to make sure that we have a smooth session today. So without further ado, I would like to introduce and thank our speaker who are speaking today. The first speaker is Rika, who is a digital product manager, digital insights from South China Morning Post. She will be sharing on how we can actually build a first-party data strategy in a post-cookie world. I'm sure this is a topic that is, highly debated. She will be sharing her publisher perspective and solution to a world without third-party cookie. What does this mean for audience targeting and the industry, and how South China Morning Post is leveraging its first-party data to address this whole new world. A little bit about the speaker. So Rika is actually the head of SCMP Digital Insight team, and she's the product lead for the SCMP Lighthouse. So South China Morning Post proprietary insight and activation platform. She has spent the past 6 years working in the integrated media sales field with clients from various industries. So we're happy to have Rika here to share her presentation. So Rika, would like to just pass on to you.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Let me get my screen ready for you. Sorry, guys. Great. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for joining the session today. And thank you so much for the introduction, Shiyun. So I've been with SCMP just for over a year, and really came on board with a sales background. So before coming on board with a digital product role and one that focuses on data opportunities, it was quite challenging. It was there's a lot of new learnings and of course challenges along the way. Really come to appreciate what learning on the job is about, because the industry is just so complex and it's ever changing. So the team that you're in, that you're a part of, need to be quite agile and responsive to any changes that come your way. So what's really helpful is being in an environment that supports the innovation and embraces those changes. To some of you who may not be aware of what SCMP is, we've been around for 117 years and we're headquartered in Hong Kong, where it's the city's newspaper of record. But like many organizations, we've also gone through quite a transformation in the past few years, which is especially hard being a business with a century-old legacy to become a digital-first news media with really big, ambitious global aspirations. So being global means that we're also more susceptible to the changes that are impacting the internet and advertising today. And the major one is, and is a hot topic of the decade, is concerning data privacy and regulations and the subsequent impact on the technology that we see today and how media owners, advertisers, or business in general interact with our customers. So my talk this evening is really about how we at SCMP are navigating through this environment, tackling the challenges ahead by shifting our focus towards building a first-party data strategy. So if you're in the same boat as we were then, hopefully you'll be able to take away some tips or ideas from this talk. So to set the scene a bit, I want to talk about how we got to the point where we talk about first-party data being king. We live in a digital age, and our lives today are so intertwined with the technology where everything we do is on the internet and on our devices. And the next thing we know, our data is just forever stored somewhere because we, as consumers, have been so reliant on the internet to look for information, to connect with people, for convenience and even entertainment. And for majority of us, our livelihood will not function without the internet. So all those interactions on the web came at a cost that was not visible to us. It's hidden in the privacy statements, complicated T&Cs, and we just want everything right now, so we say yes and accept. And because we've become so glued to our technologies, many saw the opportunities to benefit from it, some in good, some in more questionable ways. And we witnessed these data scandals that were even coming from major brands and really terrifying handling and use of data that were sold to companies to influence our political views and even start polarizing communities. The irony is that we also continue to use these very platforms to voice our concerns about the growing distrust on the internet and how our data is being exploited in ways that we can't even describe. But at some point in the last few years, we saw a degree of improvement and a shift in power back to consumers. So how has this impacted our industry? There are two ways that we can look at it. One is from the regulatory side and then the other from the technical side, how the industry is reacting. So starting to look back to 2016, when we were introduced to the world of data compliance with the passing of GDPR, and 2 years later, when it was enforced, it permanently changed the way that companies collect, store, and use customer data. While GDPR was only technically enforced in Europe, it affected any businesses that reach consumers from that region, and anybody who was found to be non-compliant were fined with quite a hefty amount. Because what else followed? It's inspired a wave of new legislations that were introduced in other countries and even states in the US, like the CCPA in California that was enforced earlier this year. And now we'll see Brazil's version of LGPD, and what's not included in here is the Thailand's PDPA. So now you can imagine if you're a growing business reaching customers from all over the world, then you would have to make sure that you're compliant for every single privacy regulations. So this put the whole digital ecosystem into disarray, with many scrambling for ways to reorganize their business. We saw that old tech that relied on the exploitation of user data crumble, but with that came also new types of technology that are rising, assuring businesses with compliance solutions. So if you were like me and if you're already feeling lost then I'm sure that it made it even more overwhelming just trying to understand an already complicated industry. On the technical side, of course, the browsers that are powering our access to the internet are also reacting with different changes to how we track, store, or access our customers' data online. So where do we go from here? Well, there's an argument that the regulations and browser changes could be taking a step backwards. From the buy side, we're hearing a lot of conversation around refocusing on contextual buys and probabilistic segmentation that's powered by more advanced algorithms. But from the buyers, from the marketers and the ad tech side, they will need to find new models for measuring efficiency and effectiveness of ad buys, because things like frequency capping, attribution, and reporting will be limited. A lot of marketers are also now looking at ways to merge their own first-party data with quality publishers' second-party data. But again, we'll have to consider scalability of those efforts. From the publisher side, we're in a really great position to define our value proposition because of all the regulatory and browser changes with the demise of third-party cookies. There's a lot of value placed in our environment and our audience within that environment, especially if we're able to describe our audiences really well and address them. Because what we have seen in the past is the commoditization of publishers' inventory down to space. Outside of ad targeting and digital ad buying, publishers are also looking at new revenue streams. We're seeing many brands pivoting to events, affiliates, content partnerships, and even the subscription business. And they're all very valid new sources of revenue, but everything takes time. It's not an overnight strategy, and it doesn't overnight make up for advertising revenue, which has fueled many publishers in the past. So as a publisher, it's important that we think about how we can continue to monetize our inventory. Being able to address the users that come to your site and build relationships with them are super important. And we're still going to be met with challenges. And at the end of the day, we'll have to answer to the demand for scale and the need for the buy side to consolidate buying under one platform. So with all of that in mind, I think that there's never going to be a one-size-fits-all solution, because there are so many factors that could really drive your business strategy. So all these new regulations will just keep evolving, or we'll continue to see many different versions of new changes in browsers, new legislations coming from all parts of the world. But what is clear to us at SCMP is that we need to look at our own first-party data sets rather than relying on third-party sources, which is proven to not be reliable, and will continue to deprecate in value as more restrictions and limitations are put in place. The problem with third-party data is that we don't really know where the data sources are from or how fresh the data is. So, for example, if it was maybe derived from a user's intent to purchase a car 3 years ago. So looking into the data source that you own and control is now becoming a necessity for many. So from a publisher's perspective, this is how it really looks. The more you understand your data and communicate its value, the more opportunities you will have to build stronger relationships, whether it's with your advertisers or your readers. So for us, we went all in on first-party data, and we're taking this opportunity to build relationships with both our readers and our partners, because at the end of the day, we're still ad revenue driven as a business, but we're able to sustain that by continuing to attract premium quality readers to our platforms. So how can we create a value exchange with first-party data? Well, let's talk about it from a reader's perspective first. When you visit a news site and you're coming to that environment with the intention to engage, to be informed. So that's what you are as a user. And the key for the publisher is to understand that intention so that we can continue to build editorial impact and really deepen the engagement with that audience. In the last 3 years for SCMP, we went from being a Hong Kong English news site to a global news company, but that means we're reaching new audiences in new markets. If you don't understand anything about this new audience that you're reaching, then it will be difficult to keep them or even monetize them. So before our, I guess, global expansion, we knew very well how we fared in Hong Kong, where maybe expats and affluent audience returned to us for quality news. But now the environment has changed and we're put in a completely different playing field. So as we continue to grow our reach and our influence globally, the need to understand the audience, the users, is top priority so that we can continue to serve them better. And that commitment doesn't just stop on the reader side. It has to extend to how we also work with our advertising partners. For our advertisers, we talked about new regulations and how it would change the way we do targeted advertising. But for us, leveraging first-party data goes beyond being able to create an addressable audience to target. Yes, audience targeting is important, but it's also about the insight that we can draw from it. Our data gives us more opportunities to have direct conversations because we hold insights about the users that they reach in our platform that they can't get anywhere else. It's about sales enablement and empowering our sales force with the right tool that they can take to market so they can move conversations from one that was traditionally transactional because buyers were only looking at us as an ad space to a conversation that focuses on long-term strategic partnerships. Because now with our insights, we can educate them about the value of the premium environment that we've created that are attracting these high quality audiences. And hopefully they also take that as an opportunity to inform how they build their creatives or their messaging when they're trying to connect with that very same audience on our platform. Because ultimately we are a branding partner. We recognize that as a publisher, we're not going to compete in performance platforms. And when you add publisher in the mix, when you're planning media campaigns, you really shouldn't be trying to understand what click-through rate you can get. You need to dig deeper into why our audiences are coming to our platform, why they're coming to SCMP, why they're engaging with our content, because users are coming to news site with the intention to be informed, to consume content. So for marketers, you should be capturing that attention with the intention to influence them about your brand. So for us, the way that we're adding value to our advertising partnerships is by helping them connect with readers more effectively in ways that we know from our data that would resonate with our readers and ultimately drive better performance through that. So getting there, unlocking first-party relationships was quite a journey for us. How did we embark on this? Well, it first starts with finding the right data partner. From the very beginning, we're dead set on making sure that we only offer audience solutions that are based on our first-party data set. So we briefed multiple partners on our requirements and ultimately went with 1+X, which is a hybrid CDP, DMP predictive data platform. It allows us to consolidate all our disparate data from various sources so that we can create a unified view of our users and create an addressable audience based on profiles built on first-party cookies. But in the future, we're looking towards building these profiles using persistent IDs from authenticated logins. So, like I said, there are many more changes to expect in the years to come. So we wanted to look for a partner that can work with us in a more agile and transparent way. And a partner would be open to all our ideas and experimentations as well. Another very important thing to consider is the level of client servicing that you can get, especially in the first few months of integration, where there's a lot of communication flowing both ways, and you're setting expectations on both sides and how that partnership will be. So now that you found your partner, when you get to the integration part, there's a point where you really come to understand your data, what it is that you have, what does your first-party data set look like, where are they sitting, how can you leverage those attributes for segmentation and insights. And you need to work with technical leaders, the data and product owners, because these data sets could be sitting in different departments. And not all data is created equally, so building a schema and an identity model to help you visualize what a full user profile could look like would be really helpful, because then you can start to see what data points are valuable and what you're still lacking. And that will then feed into your data collection strategy and how you get organized when new initiatives come in. So the next one is the biggest launch for us this year. So it's about how you make those data available for insights and activation. And we wanted everyone in the first phase internally to access our data, but understanding that not everyone is a data expert or have any experience using CDP or DMP. So we created an insight and activation platform that simplifies the processes and contextualizes data that's available about our user. And there's a lot of education to increase adoption internally and a lot of opportunities to iterate this platform as well. So finally, once you're organized and you have your data, you can start to leverage those insights to create unique solutions. So whether it's about how you build audiences for targeting or how you use the insights to drive larger branded content campaigns and over time incorporate new services that really elevate direct sales relationships by giving more comprehensive reports on our audiences that they're reaching on SEMP. So really owning that or giving access to your partners to own the relationship with your audience and helping them turn into brand advocates. So this isn't something that you do overnight. It was a massive undertaking for us and for any business. And I think from experience, I do feel very fortunate to have been able to do this at SCMP, where you have like executive support, someone who can advocate for this at a very top level, because you'll need buy-in from management, and to really to get there, you need to demonstrate what that value is, the project or the product you're trying to create, what can bring to the business. And you need complete support from all the key stakeholders, the contributors who will help execute your idea. So at the very onset of this project, it was clear that this was split into two main phases. The first one was on the integration side, so integrating with that data partner. And the second one was designing and developing a separate UI that's powered by API connections to the platform. So for us, it took 6 months to do the first phase and another 6 to build and launch the first version of Lighthouse. So basically from day one when I joined, we had at least 2 internal and external weekly meetings with multiple departments involved, because you really need to make sure that everyone is aligned and understands what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And I'm sure with many of you have experiences with cross-departmental projects and know that it can be a nightmare for some, especially when you have different OKRs. So for me, we were quite fortunate to have been able to work with colleagues from different departments who are really aligned and committed to delivering that project. So aside from that, making sure that obviously the external partners that you're working with are also as committed to what it is that you're trying to achieve. They share the same vision as you. So there's a lot of moving parts that you need to manage. And it sounds like a huge effort. So why did we build a self-service data platform? Why are we doing this to ourselves? A huge part of our digital transformation requires lifting the silos that were previously embedded in corporate cultures. And we want to build a tool that is not limited to specific teams or functions within the business. And because of the level of investment that goes into this type of project, you need to make sure that it can have, it can impact the wider business in a positive way. And taking into considerations as well how different teams might use it. Might use the first-party data you have, while at the same time knowing that you can't serve everyone's needs and use cases. So it's about finding that structure and creating a roadmap for future iterations. So the key considerations as we were building the first phase of Lighthouse are this. So the first one is access to all staff. It should be accessible to everybody. I mentioned before that, of course, you have to take into account that not everyone has the same level of experience with data and technology that is powering the platform that you have. So building a fail-safe tool with all the safeguards in place to avoid breaking down your actual data platform was key to us. Secondly, we want to democratize the use of data by making it a self-service platform. And the benefit of this is that it encourages users to access audience insights in their own time. They don't need to go through multiple layers and back and forths to get the data that they need. So it's increasing speed and efficiency for the business. The third part is about consistent presentation of data. So we created a platform that gives consistent view of our users so we can describe our audience in the same tone and manner. And we want to give wider access to help us understand how our business and our customers are actually leveraging the insights that we have and what it is that they're looking for if that's not yet available in the platform. It allows us to present the data with context in a way that is easily understandable and actionable. So again, going back to my first point about access, you shouldn't be a data expert to make use of what's available on the platform. It should be super intuitive. And because this is not the end product and we're operating in a really fast-paced, dynamic environment, we need to be able to make any changes to the platform as the industry moves. So building a proprietary platform that we own, that we have control over and is modular so we can iterate, doesn't just help us react to those changes, but it helps us be a market maker as we proactively think about new features and plug in new capabilities to the platform. From a commercial standpoint, building a self-service data platform empowers our sales force with the tools to share audience insights that our customers can't get anywhere else. So it's fueling more direct conversations and sales. And finally, it's beyond ad targeting, we're able to use the insights to inform campaign planning and optimize campaigns. So in the long run, it's giving direct partnerships the opportunity to, again, own that relationship with the audience when they're reaching on SCMP and eventually driving more brand loyalty. So our first-party data strategy is to really look at it with an audience-first approach that we can use across the business. From a publisher's perspective, we have to look at three main parts of our business. Obviously, our content, which is the very core offering from our editorial teams. We have really great content that as a publisher, we should be continuously improving. And that can be done by using the first-party insights that you have. So you can continue to create compelling content that sets you apart as a publisher. And in terms of growing your reach and using your data to identify new ways to connect with readers and really turn them into loyal and engaged audiences, that also helps. So from the advertising side, of course, it's about helping our partners connect with our audience in ways that only we know how because of the data that we have of our ownership over that data. So to conclude this, I just want to highlight why, again, we're focusing on first-party data strategy. First of all, it's key to owning the relationship that we have with your customers. So the more you understand the data that you own and how you can use it, the closer you are to defining the value exchange that can set you apart in the market. Secondly, it's also key to building a premium environment. So when you've taken that step to understand your users, you're doing that because you want to create a better experience for them, create new things that will excite them and get them to come back and become advocates of your brand. And finally, you're leveraging your first-party data will allow you to create products and solutions that are unique to you. So remembering that the very definition of first-party data is about ownership. It's the data that you have collected and owned. So when you're using that to create insights, you can really create more compelling products and solutions for your brand. So thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope that you were able to take some learnings from our experience building our first-party data strategy at SCMP. So yeah, I think now I believe we can take some questions.
Thanks a lot, Rika. That was really interesting. Thanks a lot for sharing your experience and having put this together. It's a very timely topic, I believe. And we do have a lot of questions from the audience. So the first question was around how you address the issue, it can be an issue, of users that are not logged in. What's the approach at South China Morning Post with regards to users being logged in versus not being logged in?
Yeah. So right now we have a single sign-on strategy. So obviously I think that comes down to how you drive your user acquisition in your marketing efforts. So we still have a lot of ways to go to figure out how we can create more addressable audiences. I think what has been really helpful for us is that we are able to address those users, figure out who the anonymous users are and move them down the funnel to convert them eventually. But it really has to be effort from all parts of the business, where you're creating products that understand what those anonymous users are engaging with, or non-authenticated users, not anonymous. What is it that they're engaging with, and how you can continue to lure them back in with the insights you know about how they engage with your content. And yeah, obviously driving them to become more loyal users by retargeting, because with our data platform, we can access them, we can continue coming back and communicate and move them down the funnel with the right messaging.
Okay, thank you. Then the second question is around new first-party data framework. So the question is, how does SCMP foresee to address multiple new first-party data frameworks that partners would adapt, and need for more integrations, and eventually low match rate, sorry. So new first-party data frameworks, need for more integration, and low match rates because of third-party cookies diminishing.
Yeah, I think the main point, especially with us launching Lighthouse, is to create more direct sales partnerships. So right now with our audience targeting solutions, those are all available through our direct sales conversations, and also through, through programmatic direct programmatic buying, so programmatic guarantee rather. I think in the future we will continue to focus on how the industry moves and adapt to it, but we have to take it one day at a time. Right now, I think it's great that we have addressable audiences using first-party cookies. That was super important for strategy for us as we see the deprecation of third-party cookies. So being able to create first-party audience sets is a really good step already going forward.
Okay, question number 3. Do you have any examples of activations that's created from the data being collected? How do you decide if one form of activation is the right activation, right time to turn it on?
Yeah, what I really like about having our data platform, where we can observe the users that are landing on specific branded content pages or clicking on different ads, is that every time that a user clicks or sees an impression or lands on this branded page, then we're actually able to profile who these users are, what it is, like what their demographics are, where they're coming from, what their content interest is, and all the different attributes that we have in our CDP to create a new segment that either targets similar users or just take in the similar attributes to create a completely different audience segment, and then A/B test all the different audiences that we've created from that platform. And that's all based on the behaviors that we have seen from the users who have previously engaged with those brands. So that's how we kind of see optimization, where the more you start from a broader, targeting, and then iterating or optimizing from that based on previous learnings, I think is the most effective way to move forward with, audience-based solutions.
Then question number 4 is around scaling. So one member of our audience wonders if you only rely on first-party data only, how do you scale?
Yeah, scalability is really interesting, and it's going to be a challenge for any publishers, no matter how big you are. I think what I shared in my previous slides is going beyond targeted advertising, again, looking at the insights to recommend new ways to reach similar audiences that exhibit the same behavior. So from like an audience pool perspective, obviously that will be limited, but if you can interpret the data in ways that will help you find incremental audiences, either based on their interests, based on their demographic profiles, any insight that you can get from previous campaigns will be really helpful in finding a larger audience pool within the SCMP environment. But I think we also have to educate users the problem that we face with scale, because we can have really scalable audience, but if that client doesn't have that budget to reach all of those users, then what's the point for driving or looking for a large scalable audience? So it's going to depend on your budget. But again, looking at the ways that you as a marketer might think about your advertising campaigns, why are you coming to directly to a news site like SCMP? What is it that you want to get from the audiences that land there? Because you can't look and compare it to maybe you're creating plans that combine both social platforms and premium news publishers. You can't compare both and say that they need to have the same messaging or they should perform the same ways, because their readers, when they go on different platforms, have different behaviors that they exhibit. So you need to capture that and understand like where in the user funnel should you use publishers for. And what I said earlier was that it's, our strengths really lie in branding, because when you're on a news publisher's website, you're there to engage, you're there to consume content, and you're really, focus on what you're reading. Whereas when maybe you're on social media, you're just going through and scrolling and not really in a moment where you're ready to accept any messaging. So this is where you start to define the different strategies that you have, whether it's on the creative side, on the format of ad creatives. So it's going to depend on what your campaign objective is and how you want to leverage your partnership with your publisher in that case.
Great, thank you. We do have a few more questions. The next one is from an audience member who is wondering about the value of advertising. So I personally sometimes find advertising annoying. Sometimes it's also very useful because I've discovered all sorts of really great products and also events, information through advertising. So it's a mixed bag. But for South China Morning Post, if you could give us a little bit of an insight why you focus on advertising as a revenue stream.
Well, traditionally, it has been our main source of revenue, but we do recognize that in the future, we have to look for new ways, or even not completely disregard advertising, but look at how you can improve the advertising experience on site. So there's I think, a steep learning curve for many news platforms to do that, because I don't think advertising will go away overnight. You have to think about where the ad slots place, how you brand different like advertisement tags. So I think focusing on the user experience first, so that our readers are not as annoyed by these ads, and forgetting about all the ads that are really getting in the way of the user experience. So we have to analyze every single thing and just focus on the user experience and how we can improve that while still keeping the ad slots available. Because I think even the biggest subscription focused business still rely on advertising revenue, still have both ways, and still looking for ways to balance that up. So there is, I think there is a way around it, and it's about convincing users that if you can create a good advertising experience, then it's fine.
Yeah, I fully agree. As I said, there's some campaigns are really well done. They're delightful to watch and really entertaining. And others, they're just plain annoying. So it depends on the execution. We have 3 more questions that I would like to take. For the next one, Eric, I hope you forgive me. I shortened a little bit so that we can take the other 2 as well. Because the question has 2 parts. And the first part is, Rika, if you could summarize again for us, how does South China Morning Post Lighthouse model differ from any other publisher's attempt to use login data, to login user data?
Yeah. So Lighthouse takes in all the first-party data sets. So it's not just about login data logged in users' data. So you can imagine if you look at your whole ecosystem, you might get your registration data. You could be getting data from your MailChimp, from your newsletters, look at the on-site behaviors, look at all the new data initiatives that you have through surveys, polls. So it is coming from different sources that doesn't just rely on a user being authenticated or having registration data. So I think for many publishers, they forget that you don't have to only have registration data to create a strong first-party data set. But I think being able to build an addressable audience using first-party cookies will be really important, because those are semi-persistent IDs that have longer shelf life, and when it's matched with your registration data, if you do have it, then it really extends the attributes, the information that you have and own about your users.
And then the next question is, what impact do you foresee without third-party cookies in e-commerce, especially when there's a large shift towards e-commerce and digital retail? Let us know if you're able to comment on that. So maybe a bit more of a broader framework to the question would be around the disappearance of third-party cookies and the shifts that we're seeing in the industry. And then the question in particular is asking around e-commerce and digital retail, but maybe you have experience from other industries too.
Yeah, I think from the e-commerce perspective, unfortunately, I don't have much background on that, but I think with the deprecation of cookies, there's definitely going to be a shift towards, working with media owners that really have control and understanding of their data. If you're looking at it from the programmatic perspective, I think it's going to be a lot more challenging. While yes, you can have maybe cheaper by ad spaces at cheaper volume, you're going to lose out on things like attribution and being able to report on your campaign with really granular information. So I think the relationship that you have with the different players in the ecosystem will change in the future.
And then the last question would be if you have any specific examples about insights. Could you share specific examples of more comprehensive insights that you could provide to your clients using first-party data? Do you see publishers charging more with the first-party data in the future? So any insights around first-party data use that you've seen from your clients?
So how we would use it or communicate this with our partners, especially as we're looking for key account relationships, is especially if they've already run a campaign with us, is saying to them, hey, look, these are the audiences who interacted with your brand and read your content. What we know about them is that this is the demographic of their profiles. This is what their profile looks like. You can actually confirm whether the people, especially if it's, say, for example, it's a branded content piece, if the article, the theme, or the topic is what's resonating with their initial target audience. Because we have a tendency to say, oh, if I'm an automotive company, I only want to target 55 plus men for my new SUV car. And then once you start rolling out your creatives and your campaigns, then you come to realize that no, actually the people who are clicking on your content or on your ads are the complete opposite. Maybe they're female moms that you didn't know, audiences that you can tap. So this is where you start to use first-party insights from publishers' data, because now you understand that, okay, you can actually tap into different audience group. I've been building my personas the completely wrong way, and there's an opportunity to convert more, to drive more sales if I just look at another profile of users. So I think that's a really exciting conversation for, especially with direct sales teams, to be having with their clients, because that's not insight that you can get from programmatic buying, right? So from there, you can also continue to look at, okay, because their main relationship with SCMP is with the content, what other content pieces are they interacting with on our site? And how can you kind of own those topics as well? If you're a banking looking at sustainability, are they engaging with sustainability topics in SCMP? Maybe that's something that you want to tap into, and you come to realize that SCMP would be a good partner for that, because this is where you'll find the audience that you want to reach. So I think the insights and opportunities are endless, and it's, really being able to communicate this back to your direct sales relationships.
Thank you so much for answering all our questions, Rika. I would like to ask you to pick a winner now, and let me briefly run you through the questions again. The first one we have to rule out because that was from the DAWS member. So that one is not part of it. But then, so question number 2 was around new first-party data frameworks, need for more integration. Number 3, examples of activation for scaling up when only relying on first-party data. 5 was around advertising as a revenue stream, and advertising, does it create value or not? Number 6 is Lighthouse model, how is it different from any other publisher's model? 7, third-party cookies going away, and 8 was the last one around activation, first-party data example.
Before I answer that, I just read the questions again, and I realized that for the last question, I also didn't answer about publishers charging more with first-party data in the future. I think, sorry to extend this, but to go back when we built Lighthouse, it's not just, obviously there is premium to CPM rates when you're layering audience data, but the very premise of Lighthouse is to share those insights and really create value-adding conversations. So it's, the insights there for sales to share with clients, but yes, absolutely, there will be a premium to audience targeting based solutions. And actually that question from Olivia Griselda was my pick.
Well then, thanks very much, and congratulations to Olivia. Thanks, Rika. I think I omitted the second part, so glad that you spotted that. And yeah, thank you again for sharing all your knowledge. That was super insightful. And also thanks to our audience for all the questions. So now Xiun from the DAWS team will guide you through what's up next. She's introducing our next speaker and presentation topic.
So thanks, Eva. Thanks, Rika, for the very interactive session. I don't think we have got so many questions in one session, so that has proven that it's a very popular and highly discussed topic in the recent month. So before I introduce our second speaker, I just want to remind everyone that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more updates of Digital Analytics Wednesday. And don't forget to ask questions in the right-hand side of the comment section. You stand a chance to win a $50 gift voucher. So now I would like to introduce our second speaker, Ian Ong, who is the co-founder and CEO of Roots Digital Private Limited. He will be sharing on the importance of creating, performing regular content audit, and how is this going to impact the SEO performance, and how is this going to drive content marketing efforts. Ian will be sharing on how to perform content audit and what's the best practices around it. After Ian's session, we also have a demo by the Space Science team. So we're very lucky and honored to have Tony George, who is the founder of the Space Science, to share on how we can actually leverage the Space Science to create targeted and measurable out-of-home advertising. So Ian, I'll pass the floor to you to present your session on content audit for SEO and content marketing.
Okay, thanks Suyun for the introduction. Let me do a screen share. Give me a moment. Okay, so yep, Once again, thanks for the introduction. Hi everyone. My name is Ian from Roots Digital. So I started my career in digital marketing in 2011. So have since always been a practitioner in this field and running a digital campaign from planning to actual go inside a Google Ads campaign to manage clients' account. So as this presentation title suggests, I will be covering a very SEO focused topic, which is content audit and in general content marketing. So let's begin. Okay, so the few areas that I'll be covering is like why is content audit and why you need one and who can benefit from it. So there is a short 4-step content audit process that personally we use it in the agency for our clients SEO campaign as well. So who has heard about content marketing? So I believe in people in watching this live stream must have heard about content marketing. Then, and based on Google Trends itself, content marketing has been like rising in terms of popularity. So is this a marketing buzzword? So okay, in general, content marketing I would say is an umbrella term for content or creating content to be shared across various channels, be it like Facebook, TikTok, or the different social medias, and also it can be a blog content sitting on your website. So today we'll be focusing a lot on blog content specifically. So what is content audit? So it involves reviewing all the content on your website, okay, assessing the strengths and weaknesses against a set of qualitative and quantitative metrics. So content can be very whether a content is good or bad can be very subjective. So this time around we want to add some data points to help us make a decision when it comes to content auditing. So based on the assessment, we will then determine the fit of the content, whether you want to keep it, optimize it, or simply remove and redirect them. Okay, so John Mueller, a web trend analyst from Google, once mentioned, from my point of view, if you are aware of a low quality pages on your website, then try to fix and find a solution to be either removing these pages if you really can't change them, or in the best case, finding a way to make them less low quality and actually make them useful, good pages on the site. So why we need to conduct an audit? Okay, the world is exploding with a lot of content. So people have been telling us that hey, we must do content marketing, we must create blog or content every single day in, day out. So this result in a lot of content sitting in the internet. So currently, some quick statistic, more than 500 million blogs out there, okay, out of the 1.7 billion websites in the world. So which is a huge number. And all these authors are contributing to over 2 million blog posts daily. So as you can imagine, the number of pages the search engine have to index is going to be will grow bigger and bigger. So that's where content comes in. So I think Gary Vee once mentioned, I think one of the key advice that he gave is that create content, okay, and also more content. So a lot of people take this literally, and they will just say, okay, next thing I will create a lot of blog content daily, regardless of a topic. So without any plan, we just go and create content. But I think this advice from him came from a very good intention, and a lot of things that he mentioned is sharing content on social media as well. So, but then does this apply to maybe your website content or your website blog content? So typically when you have I would say a lot of content on your website, sitting on your website, sometimes it will result in keyword cannibalization and also increase in like SEO issues. So as your site gets bigger with more pages, then that's where issues like error page, I would say broken links start to appear. Okay, so why we need to conduct a content audit? So we want to take stock of all your content created in your campaign. Then having a content audit do shed some light on what type of contents performs better. So this give you a better direction on what type of content you should create in the future. So it also help with the overall site SEO and when it comes to optimizing your crawl budget. So when your site gets bigger, search engine do face issues crawling if your site start to have more and more broken links. Yeah. So content is an asset, and the goal is to make your existing content work harder for you. Okay, so who can benefit from a content audit? So content audit is suitable for website of all sizes, be it like a small corporate website or if a big publisher website. So sites, however, sites with more pieces of content will benefit from this process, because when you tend to have huge library of content, so that is where SEO issues starts cropping up. Then that's where you might need to use run a content audit to resolve them. Okay, so now is a simple 4-step content audit process that we use. So together, I will share some of the a template that we use to plot data, and from there we can analyze which content to remove or keep. So first step, take inventory of all your content assets. Then subsequently, we want to categorize them, add content level data, and the last step will definitely be making a decision. Okay, so for taking taking stock of all your content assets, so a few ways that you can go about doing it is through Google Analytics. So if you have Google Analytics installed, you definitely can go in under behavior and site content, export all the pages out, and from there you will also get things like the organic traffic, broken down into segment by over a 12-month period. So this is a sample of how your report can look like. Okay, every single content broken out into 12 months. From there, what is the organic traffic? So that's not just it. So then that's where you can add something like maybe conditional formatting to make it easier for you to interpret what type of content is showing more red flags, and from there you can see whether these are the ones that you need to spend more time on. Okay, so not all content are created equal. Okay, depending on your content strategy, each piece of content can have a different objective in mind. One great way to categorize your content is so I'm following Ross Tevendel SEO KPI framework. Hopefully I didn't butcher his name. Yeah. In short, your content and SEO KPIs can be split into 3 type of categories. Conversational goals. So typically for content like this, you will want to aim for better ranking and to attract backlinks. Informational goals would be something that you want to achieve, like getting subscribers, newsletter, or webinar signs up. Then the last one, transactional goals, will be converting into a lead, a trial, or demo. So from here, you can just add another column to classify what type of content this particular blog post is about. Okay, the last part will second last part will be adding SEO matrix to your content. So there are different SEO tools out there you can use to plot in additional data, something like what keyword theme the content is targeting. Okay, the number of keywords the content is currently ranking for, and how many, what is the number of backlinks that is pointing to the content. So from there, you can make a better decision is that whether a content is attracting backlinks naturally. So it is that if it is, then that definitely we might want to consider keeping them. So now you have done the heavy lifting by giving context to each piece of content. Then it's time to make a tough decision. So whether you should keep, remove, or optimize the content. So typically we will follow something like this. Okay, these are the 3 type of decision we were to make. So for example, if you want to keep the content, then this means that you recommend not touching the post at all. Okay, which normally means that either the post in the question is performing better, you are seeing an upward trend in terms of the organic traffic, or it's so new that you don't have enough data to make a decision. Okay, so the next thing will be to optimize the content. So this can mean anything from optimizing the post, okay, to target a different, better keywords. So initially when you create a post, it could be targeting a keyword team on its own. But then you find that this is something that you can add a new keyword team to make this content even better. Then that's where optimizing comes in. So on-page optimization can be either like matching the search intent by beefing up the post, or removing certain section that is outdated, or you can update the information. Then the last one will be to prune the content. So this is the last resort, and we save for posts that are either old, outdated, they no longer offer any value. So it could be old statistic, then simply are not getting any traffic for other channels, or it was not mapped to any keywords and it was created without a plan. Then those are the content that you might want to consider removing them, or simply redirect one to a good content that can replace it. So yeah, this is quite a short presentation on this. Yep. So I think now is my turn to take some questions.
Thanks, Ian, for the presentation. So I can see that that we don't have any questions yet. So maybe Ian, if you don't mind just sharing a little bit more in terms of like your experience, what are the biggest challenges that you have seen from your client in terms of running content audit? And how would you recommend them if, let's say, they don't have the tool or they don't have the right resources to address this?
I would say is that they don't have a clear process. So because typically a content that sits there, they won't know like how it's performing without any data points. So it's hard for them to make a decision. So when we come in is to provide a framework or a process for them to identify what works, what doesn't, then what type of content should be removed. Yeah.
So we have a question now from Geo. His question is, how would you measure the ROI of performing a content audit? Example, if less is more by pruning, how do you measure the impact? Or how do you measure organic page rank increase or decrease?
Okay, so in general, right, I would suggest like we can use certain any SEO tools to give to measure like how many keywords in total is the site visible for. So I don't recommend going to specific keywords, but one way is to look in terms of overall the site is ranking for how many search terms. Then from there, once you do the pruning, you'll be able to see that for example, okay, let me see. Okay, let me read the question again just to make sure I answer it correctly. Okay, so one way to measure the impact for SEO wise, you can look into organic traffic. Is it increasing over a period of time after the pruning? So you want to monitor like whether you see a drop or you see an improvement in organic traffic. Then most of the time, if this happens, if you are facing things like keyword cannibalization. So that particular content you are looking to prune is fighting for the same set of keyword teams with another content. Then that is where pruning effort, maybe like removing and redirect them to the way to consolidate your content, will in fact help your website overall organic traffic. So now search engine can better understand, okay, which content should they be ranking instead of confused in terms of two content fighting for the same keywords. Yeah. So hope I answered the question.
Yep. So maybe while we wait for others to share more questions, so just to remind everyone who is in the live stream, you stand a chance to win $50 gift voucher if you ask the best question. So don't be shy, ask question. While we wait for more question from the audience, I actually have a question. So I lead a search business in Google, and I'm very interested to hear your opinion in terms of what's the value of SEO, especially to the digital performance marketing team. What are some of the close relationship that you see between SEO and paid search campaigns, for instance?
Okay, so I think for SEO is something that it drives a more steady flow of traffic. So for paid ads, I always use the analogy where like it's like a water tap. When you have media budget, then that is like you turning on the water tap, water start flowing in. But for SEO, if things are done right, you can see a steady growth in or even like exponential growth in your organic traffic over a period of time. Yeah. So, but then how these two can work together in a way that for certain keywords that is simply too costly, then it might make more sense to focus on the SEO approach to be more visible on the keyword term. But then on ads wise, for certain keywords that is too competitive on SEO side, then you might want to consider using ads to target that to help you gain traffic fast.
Okay, thanks, Ian. That's a very insightful session. Thank you very much,
Thanks a lot.
Ian, for sharing this. So now I would like to introduce the next speaker who will be doing our demo session. So he's Tony George, who is the founder of Display Science. He will be sharing on how we can actually leverage Display Science technology to provide targeted and measurable out-of-home advertising. So before I forget, I would also like to announce that the winner for the best question in the previous speaker session is Jay. So Jay, please reach out to us either via Meetup group. We will pass the $50 gift voucher to you. So Tony, the floor is yours. So just go ahead and present what Display Science can offer when it comes to out-of-home.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Siyun. Just to give you guys a little bit of context quickly, the dashboard that I'm about to present is a dashboard that shows advertisers how and what their ad is, how is it performing, and or what the ad is doing, and what people are how people are interacting with their ad. So just to give you a context, this is how our tablets are installed and deployed into taxis. Currently, we are in Singapore, and this is the flow that we measure and record and provide to the advertiser on a live dashboard. So there are two types of media that we publish. One is with a call to action image, another one with a lead generation form. So call to action image means that when somebody see a video or an image, they will click on it and they will get another image that says, oh, scan this QR code or call this number or redeem this promo code. Then that will be recorded in our database. So
sorry, Tony, I just want to jump in very quickly.
Sure.
I don't think you have started screen sharing.
Oh, shit.
It's okay. Sorry to interrupt your presentation.
No, that's good to interrupt. Oh, can you guys see my screen now?
It's sharing now.
Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry, so sorry about that. Just a quick recap.
Sorry, I think we also see another slides. I think there's a this.
How about now? Is it better?
We see your full screen.
Yeah, we see your full screen
You
instead of your presentation.
deck a bit bigger.
Yes.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, now it's perfect.
So, sorry about the mishap. Just to recap, we manufacture and deploy tablets into taxis and rideshare cars, and this is how they are installed, and this is how they look to the passengers. And this is the engagement flow that I'm about to show you in the demo as part of our dashboard. We show mainly two types of media. One, a video or an image with a call to action image. So when they see a video or an image, the passenger can click on it and they will be presented with an image included with a QR code, contact details, or promo code. I will show you examples of all of them. The second type is a media that when somebody click on it, it goes to a lead generation form. So when they click on it, it will load a form and ask passengers simple questions like, okay, are you male or female, or very simple questions. Anything complicated, we won't show it. So these are the two types, and every interaction on these tablets collected sent back to our cloud platform, and we give it to our advertisers as a dashboard. Now, let me go to the dashboard so that now you have a context of what we do. So I'll take you through a few dashboards. Okay, this is an F&B advertisement that we are, I think we started it beginning of August. So on the left is the main image or main video. It will play in our video loop. And when somebody click on it, it will show this code, the QR code. And on the left side of the dashboard is how many times this has been played. In out of home, this is normally called like not proof of play, like how many times something has been impressed, like CPM, similar to that. So this is how many times it has been played across our network, and this is how many times any passenger clicked on that particular ad. So you can see that here the trend goes up and down based on the day of the week and so on. Next is how many times the impressions are made, how many times it has been played, and they are aggregated by day of the week. And on the right is the same information, the same type of aggregation, aggregated by day of the week, but this refers to engagement. So you can, depending on the industry that this advertiser belong to, sometimes they will be more, they will get more engagement on a weekend. Sometimes they will get more engagement in the middle of the week. This graph shows on the left how often or how much impressions were made during morning, afternoon, and at night time. On the right side is the impressions, similarly, morning, afternoon, and at night. On the bottom, on the left, is the every click is aggregated into an interactive map. So you can click this button to go to full screen, and you can explore the map by like you can click on a number and it will zoom in. Whenever you see a smiley face, that is one click. Whenever there is a number, that location has that many number of engagement. If you want to see further, you can zoom into that. So I'm just going through this presentation quickly so that you guys don't get bored and you can ask questions later. On the right hand side is the same data that is on the left, but is a heat map. So when it's a heat map, as you may already know, when you zoom in, it goes to be more specific. And in CBD, most of the advertisements, you will see a heat map because 90% of the trips in Singapore are to or from CBD when it comes to taxi and rideshare. But depending on the advertiser, you can see different engagement rate on a heat map on a different regions of Singapore. Now, let me take you through the same thing on a couple of other advertisers. Okay, this is Foodpanda. Oh, and also our platform tend to, our passengers tend to like videos a lot more than static images. So we run one video for Foodpanda and one static image. So the total engagement on a static image is 2,700. On video is 7,800. So probably about 7 times better with video. So first differentiator is the days that where people engage the most. So because we are inside taxis and they are like on the road and our tablets only works when the taxi is actually running, there is no engagement or interaction from any boat or anything at all. So you can see that Foodpanda gets a very different type of engagement based on days of the week compared to the coffee company. Sorry, compared to Fat Prince. Now, if you go to the map, you will see that CBD is one of the best hot area for Foodpanda. And okay, that's very normal for Foodpanda. Okay, here it's the same thing, but the same ad, but only a static image. This is a gym. Okay, but you guys get the idea. Now, the two more things I want to explain during this demo. This dashboard is for very basic users. That means you can look at it. Okay, you can figure out whether your ad is running or not. You can also download your data, and this data will include all the things that is visualized on this particular dashboard. And You can also connect, let's say you're using a DV360 or any of the monitoring platforms. You can send us the API endpoint and we will push this data back to your own dashboard. So you don't know how to look at this. This is for a very quick and easy usage. You can download this data into an Excel format and you can upload it into whatever platform you like. We can filter it. I think that is probably the shortest presentation on the meetup. Okay, I'm done. Any questions?
Thanks for the session, Tony. So I do have a few questions that I'm asking because I'm actually interested to know more. So 3 questions from my side. Is this a self-serve dashboard? And how do clients actually get access to this? Second question is it possible to incorporate first-party data with our home advertising? Can you share some of the interesting use cases that you have seen? And third question from my side is, with COVID and countries are in lockdown, how has that changed the sentiment of advertisers and brands on doing out of home?
Okay. Can I answer the last one first? Because then I can quickly share the screen and show you something. So one moment. I prepared a quick PDF. So I'm going to share the screen one more time. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
So we had in Singapore, we had a circuit breaker and everybody stopped traveling. Every ride became like almost 0 rides. But since the start of phase 2, we are almost back to normal number of rides in terms of people who take the taxi. So we integrate closely with our taxi companies where we install these tablets. So we know how many people take rides from what time to what time, from where to where, as long as they have our tablet on it. On the right side, you will see the engagement. We track it on the first column here. This is before circuit breaker. This is during circuit breaker. This is during phase 2. So as of now, our overall engagement on the taxi tablets are actually slightly more than pre-COVID. So in terms of passengers and engagement, we are kind of back to normal already. And I think it will continue to grow as we go to phase 3 and beyond. Now, to answer your other questions, if it is the first one, do you have any questions about
I just want to follow up on that question, right? Because it's very intrigued. Why do you think that engagement goes up after COVID? Like, after circuit breaker?
Yeah, this was a bit strange for us also because we imagine that people would be quite afraid to touch things, especially it's a touchscreen tablet and so on. But we actually don't know why the engagement went back to almost pre-COVID level since phase 2. We will do a passenger survey in a few weeks. We normally send out passenger surveys on the tablet so that it's kind of a lucky draw. Then we get the data back from passengers and then we put it into our deck and everything. So right now, I don't really know why people are so not afraid to touch it. That's strange. We did not expect that, but it's a good thing. But yeah, it's still strange. So any other questions about COVID?
Nope. So on the second question, incorporating first-party data with our home advertising, you mentioned about DV360 from a programmatic standpoint. If you can just share a bit more about this.
Yes. When it comes to programmatic integration, we already integrated with one already. For programmatic integration, you can buy our inventory programmatically, but our backend is made in a manner that allows us to integrate with all kinds of programmatic platforms. It's not only that. Actually, if you are an advertiser, okay, let me know if I'm going too salesy because this is not the purpose of the meeting. So if you're an advertiser, you can say only show my ads when the stock market is 10% down or more. or only show my ad when the taxi is an area with rain. It's not only the third-party data, we can integrate with almost anything that is available through a REST API. In terms of buying programmatically, our sales don't have the traditional out-of-home mindset. Normally you can only buy like 4 weeks or more and so on. We just don't care. It's like whether it's 4 weeks or 1 week or half a day, it always comes to an impression to a person. You can buy for like 1 day if you like. That will be inefficient for you, but yeah, we don't have a problem with that. Or you can buy for 1 hour. Or you can say I only want mornings on Mondays.
So what are some of the most interesting, examples that you have seen from the advertisers and brands in this region when it comes to using out of home for advertising?
I think a lot of the people don't use more data to validate whether something is working or not. Many companies will have a huge amount of budget that they put into. Oh, we already know last 10 years we buy this and we do this kind of things. Let's do that one more time so we are safe. But on the other hand, a lot of companies who provide the ad space don't allow you to experiment on a low or cheap cost. But there are new companies coming up who allow this, including us.
Okay, so I think that goes to my third question in terms of is this product a self-serve dashboard, and where do you think the space science is moving when it comes to like future development and product roadmap?
Yes, that's a very good question, and it might be a cliche answer. If a software is not self-serve, it's probably best not to make it. Everything is self-serve for customers. The clients, the moment they onboard with us and the campaign goes live, they get a dashboard. They click on it and they can see immediately where it is. There is a 10-second delay from the action taking place and the dashboard showing the action.
So we do have one question from Olivia. The question is, what are the different ways of optimizing for out of home? Do you optimize by location?
Yes, we can do optimization by geo targeting. We can say, show this ad when a car is like a 2-kilometer radius within Suntec City, for example. But we did a lot of experiments, and what we found is that for Singapore, it doesn't really make sense to do geo targeting. Because the time you reach from one place to another is too short, and an average camp ride is like 19 minutes. So if you do geo-targeting, you will have you will put in a lot more work, but there will be not a proportional amount of benefit. It might as well advertise to the whole island.
So which are the countries that you think, in terms of maybe you can share examples from outside of Singapore, how they actually leverage location targeting for optimization?
I think for if you are talking about location targeting for ad optimization, any country with serious, any big country or medium-sized country will do. Like United States, for example, one of the probably the best place to do geo-targeted advertisements.
Okay, cool.
And
so
the other thing you asked is different ways of optimizing for out of home. I think one way to sorry, shall I continue? Or?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. One way to optimize is instead of depending on one central campaign or one type of execution, maybe create a tree of 5 or 6 or 10 different campaigns, run one per week and collect data back. Then you decide which one you want to go full on out of home. And programmatic advertisers and any out of home that is available in programmatic on a very short-term buys can help you to do that.
Yep. So we have one more question from Roberto.
Sure.
So his question is, can your solution be device neutral? Will and how the readers be able to continue the video and or conversation after the ride?
Yes. So one of the problems when we were deploying into rideshare and taxi is that the tablet wouldn't know when the person is getting out of the car. So every ad you can scan a QR code or take a photo and continue with the advertiser after you exit the car. That is why we always have the CTA page. So unless a CTA page is to ask somebody to enter their phone number or their email address, every other ad can be continued even when they exit the taxi. So a lot of people in out of home, for example, will think that a mobile phone is their enemy when it comes to the attention of the passenger. But I think it is actually not. It's the best way for your ad to be taken home after you finish seeing the out of home advertisement.
Okay, so I think that's all for today in terms of questions. So would you like to pick your favorite question? So the first question is from Olivia. Olivia is also our first winner. What are the different ways of optimizing for our home? Do you optimize by location? And the second question is from Roberto. Can your solution be device neutral? Will and how the readers be able to continue the video or conversation after the ride?
I think I will go. That's a tough one. Do I need to pick?
Yes, you have to pick because they stand a chance to win a $50 gift voucher for the best question.
Okay, I will go for Roberto.
Congratulations, Roberto. So please reach out to us on Meetup, and we will actually share the the gift voucher with you and communicating on how we can actually send it across. So thank you very much, Tony, for sharing with us a very interesting demo session on display signs and also the possibilities of what advertisers can do using our home. And good to know that post circuit breaker engagement is going up, and in fact is higher than a pre-COVID session. Very positive news to hear that. Thank you everyone who is still in the live stream. Just to wrap up, so we had the first session by Rika from South China Morning Post. We had second session from Ian from the Roots Digital, and thank you very much again, Tony, for sharing such an interesting demo session. So stay tuned to more updates by subscribing to our YouTube channel and also signing up to our Meetup channel. So thank you very much. And last but not least, but to thank all our sponsors for today. This event will not be possible without all our sponsors that you are seeing on the screen. So thank you very much. We'll see you next month. Thank you.